Bill from the future here. We got really out of line in the last round with Brightglass Gearhulk. It does some things that I did not know it was capable of doing. The recommended round is round 5 if you're on a limited budget. Holy moly, you've got something to look forward to. Enjoy the show. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today the CEO of ETBs has asked me to play with a green-white energy deck list. And the reason that we want to try out green-white is Peema Trailblazer. Peema Trailblazer. A 3/3 elephant warrior. We've got the checkered flag there, so this is from one of the Aetherdrift things, but that's not the primary set symbol. It must be like a commander deck or something. So, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get that much energy. And there is an exhaust ability. Pay 6 energy, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature, turning it into a 5/5 trampler, then draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. And if memory serves, an exhaust ability can only be activated once. So, assuming that you do the normal energy pop-off thing with Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride, or maybe Springheart Nantuko, you could, play this as a 3/3. On the next turn, exhaust it, crash in as a 5/5, get that much energy, draw 5-ish cards, and do something that's legitimately pretty broken. Now, I futzed around with this deck for a little bit. And the core is obviously tried and true, right? With Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride and Ajani as sort of this 3-card core that is very good across multiple formats. Originally, there were Felias in this list and a handful of Green Sun Silver Bullets, as well as more copies of Green Sun. But as I futzed with the deck list, my mind kept going to Malevolent Rumble. This is something that is kind of a 1-mana cantrip that digs 4 deep for the appropriate permanent, and it felt like this deck a lot of times was going to be wanting to select for the white cards rather than the green cards that are in it. And so I started with Once Upon a Time in kind of my first draft of the adjustments, and I ended on Malevolent Rumble. And I might be getting lost in the sauce here, but I did another checkered flag Aetherdrift card in Brightglass Gearhulk. Now, this one was on my mind because I got a message from Something Snazzy a while back talking about this card. Something Snazzy, I hope life is going well for you. I know things were tough there for a little while. So this is a first strike Trampler 4/4. When it enters, you can search your library for up to 2 artifact, creature, and or enchantment cards with mana value 1 or less, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. So, you can play one of these, make a respectable size body, and then grab Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride at the same time. Or have a little bit of an ability to adjust that. So, say you need to be attacking. You need to be attacking with a 6-power creature. You can just grab Noble Hierarch, and go to town there. And, in those instances where you stack up multiple Noble Hierarchs, you can get a bunch of energy with your Peema Trailblazer. So there's some degree of real synergy here, and I hope I am not just getting lost in the sauce of trying this card. Like, this is an expensive card by Legacy standards, but I don't think 1 or 2 of those is crazy okay, I shouldn't use Malevolent Rumble as an example, because that can only help get it off of Green Sun. But like in a deck that already has some mana dorks, I don't think this is too crazy as some fair endgame. As far as the sideboard goes, this is basically a 12-card anti-combo sideboard where we've got a couple of fair things left over afterwards. I might be mixing my streams here. I edited a lot of deck lists today. But I think I got a message asking to kind of improve the Delver matchup for this one. No, that was for a different deck, excuse me. But these endurances can also be used in fair matchups like Delver, in addition to the unfair matchups like Oops All Spells, where there might be broken things going on with the graveyard. Normally, I would not run Leyline of the Void in a deck that looked like this, and the CEO of ETB's original draft had surgical extractions in these slots, I believe. but I think we are at the portion of the metagame where like Oops All Spells is a clear tier 1 deck that people are also jamming a lot in leagues. And I think I just need to overly respect the deck list. So we've got some ley lines, we've got some endurances, we've got some deafening silences, Gaddock Teague as well. We can go hard in trying to improve that matchup after we almost certainly lose game 1. All right, so we're showcasing some new cards from Aetherdrift today. Should you need any of those cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. They tend to have most standard legal cards in stock at any given time, ballpark like 95% of them. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. You always get free shipping, and if you have a major tournament coming up, you can expedite that shipping as well. Those folks are great. Go check them out. All right, let's Gearhulk. How do I feel about the one-lander here? First, I'm going to play your draw. All right, so I'm on the play. I go land Hierarch. Turn 2, I could Malevolent Rumble and then have a colorless mana afterwards. Maybe use that colorless mana plus a land that I get to cast something. It feels like I can just do something more consistent than this. It's also just a high variance hand. On 6, I'll probably keep this. This is going to get me a Dryad Arbor on turn 1. I have 2 mana turn 2. I don't have white turn 2. Might be the Peema Trailblazer. I'm a little unsure here. So this will be a Savannah, since we are already going to be wastelandable. And then we'll go and pick up our little tree friend here. My opponent asked if this is the ThrabenU himself. My response, the himself! For the 5 of you that are going to get that movie reference. Funny thing happened on the way to the forum, SLAPS. It's a great movie. Although there's some scenes that I would say have not aged well, is probably a kind way to put it. Let's try to hit our next land drop here with Malevolent Rumble. We succeed. As much as I would love Ocelot Pride for double Guide of Souls, I don't think we get to do that right now. So, I think we're going to continue down the Savannah route and drop a Guide of Souls. And then I can potentially do like some Springheart Nantuko, Guide of Souls nonsense if I keep hitting land drops. We have to figure out what sort of meticulous archive deck my opponent is. This could very easily be a like Cephalid Breakfast combo deck. It could be a blue-white control deck. All right, there is a Wasteland. Gas Sky Control? That would be a little unusual, but not unprecedented. Yeah, it kind of looks like we're doing something like that. Okay, so Guide of Souls, cast with Bestow. 1, 2? I think 2. Don't Lightning Bolt Guide of Souls. It has so much to live for. Swifty, let's talk about this. Oh shit, we're in play. So now, Boseiju, trigger. Oh shit. That was a consigned memory, which is probably an indicator that my opponent is playing a Stifle Knot deck. So unless we see something that points us in a different direction, Jeskai Stifle Knot is currently my call for what my opponent is doing. It is not crazy to just play a consigned memory or two in the main deck as a just reasonable Magic the Gathering card, but it's more common when you're trying to do something more unfair with it. All right, opponent is just passing. Opponent is not passing. Okay, so Swords means my Guide of Souls is gone, and now we're playing a much fairer game. We're going to go ahead and Noble Hierarch here. This is where we want to draw like one of those Gearhulks, and I think I am going to opt to attack with 1/2/2 rather than 2/2/1s. Opponent is at 16. Yeah, no. We saw this coming. The good news is Static Prison is pretty good versus Phyrexian Dreadnought. Well, that's a Brainstorm instead. Here it is. Here it is. Oh no. One of those we had covered. The second one is currently a problem. So trigger, we're not bestowed anymore. I'll Static Prison one of those. Fuck. Shit. Oh no. All right, so opponent has Curie as well. I have, and with another fetch, I have. Well, I guess that is going to stay at the same life total effectively. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 24 incoming damage. We're dead. Ugh. Alright, Choke seems great. Outland Liberator as another out to a Phyrexian Dreadnought seems perfectly fine. I could play Endurance as a mid-range card. I don't really know that I need it. All my cards seem reasonable, honestly. I think I'm going to go down on Peema's, since I am adding 2 other 3-drops in their spots. I think I still like the Springheart Nantukos. I conceptually really like that idea of copying Guide of Souls repeatedly. That is going to stack up pretty quickly. Alrighty. So let's start by firing off Noble Hierarch here. I guess I could have thought for 0.5 seconds longer to decide whether or not I'm playing this game on basics. My opponent did show me Wasteland last game, and I could have gone like Forest, Plains, Forest, or something like that as my starting lands. It is unclear to me how relevant that actually ends up being. This turn's pretty tough. I think I'm going to start by making sure my land drop happens, because my opponent can be playing Stifle effects. So I think I am interested in this. Daze is a card that exists. Maybe I'm sort of entranced by this Springheart Nantuko bestow bullshit that I am capable of doing. Alright. We got Forced. I maybe need to be careful with this Green Sun. This Green Sun can represent like endgame Gearhulk, or also more short-term the Werewolf. Daybreak something. There's a Ponder. What is the name of that card? Outland Liberator. There we go. What'd you do? Towards my Guide of Souls. I left myself one Peema Whoozy What's It. I could go get that. I think I like that better a turn down the line, though. So let's do this. Land drop, trigger, fetch, trigger, and I think I am going to make an extra Hierarch there. Opponent's got their 3rd land drop and is now passing the turn. Malevolent Rumble is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cast Green Sun. This might just be a better Malevolent Rumble turn. And I hold the Green Sun for 1 more turn. All right, pick up an Ocelot Pride. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Rigor. Make a friend. This is my 10th permanent. Brainstorm in response. All right, is Ocelot Pride resolving? It is. So City's Blessing has been acquired. We'll go to Punchies. Noble Hierarch from Hell. Triggers. That's a 4/5. Opponent is at 14, and now we do this whole Ocelot Pride thing. Oh no, I didn't gain life. Sadness. All right, there is a Dress Down. So we've been holding this Green Sun, so I do just have the possibility of getting something that answers a Dreadnought. It's also possible that I don't answer it, and I just, like, Green Sun for Gearhulk, Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, and, like, maybe that's just better? We'll see where this ends up. And the Ocelot Pride trigger would also make me extra tokens with Malevolent Rumble. Boo! All my creatures have lost all of their abilities in the short term. I think I save the land drop until next turn, where it triggers this. Hopefully my opponent does not have a Force of Will here. All right, cool. I'm going to pick up Outland Liberator. My attacks aren't great this turn. This Dress Down trigger happens, and I don't think I am going to take any chances here. Let's just kill that and hope that a giant attacking Ocelot Pride ends up being fine. That is a Tamiyo. I actually care about this a lot less than normal because I just have giant exalted creatures. So the plus against my board of 1/1-ish creatures is not actually that scary. Removal spell. All right, Prismatic Ending, that's fine. Noble Hierarch is absolutely still just here to fuck, so all of them. All the Hierarchs are here to fuck. Here we go. All right, so yes, make a copy. Bam. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different exalted triggers. I don't think I need to attack with the bestow one then. I'm just going to double count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. So I can attack with a non-bestowed one. Just a few triggers go on the stack. And Tamiyo is dead. Opponent can do a Surveil land in an attempt to select for something. Now, I have played a lot of Legacy. I do not believe that I have ever had 5 Noble Hierarchs in play before. I think that one's a first for the channel. Right, there is a Curie. Well, if 5 Noble Hierarchs is a first, what about 7? So make a token copy. I will fetch and Surveil with Lush Portico. I will make yet another one, Surveil 1. Ocelot Pride seems like a mid-draw with no way to gain life on board. I'm just going to put that into graveyard here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exalted triggers. Dryad Arbor. You're looking swole, bud. This game is hilarious. Magic's great. Alright, so that is a Swords to Plowshares on the Dryad Arbor. So this is why I did not attack with the Noble Hierarch with the bestow thing on it. We'll just kind of keep that around for a little bit longer. And we'll see if my opponent can do something broken. What they want to do is play a Dreadnought, exile it with Curie, and then Curie gets to start drawing 12 cards every time it hits. Which is something pretty broken to do. Oh, please don't be the energy board wipe. That is an Oculus. That is annoying against my exalted board, because that is just going to make a creature every turn that can chump block. Curie is an artifact. I can nuke that with Boseiju, and probably just will now. I think that's better than making either an insect or a noble hierarch. So I'll swing in with a creature, but we are not getting through that manifested card right now. Yeah, let's draw one of those Gearhulks, huh? That would be cool. So I am now taking damage in the air to this card, which is not great. In this specific situation, just having a bunch of insect tokens that I could just attack out with is much, much stronger. So this manifest creature is just going to hop in front of my 8/8 insect token. Ah, fuck. Yeah. So I can play a Guide of Souls. There's 17 incoming, 5 of which I can't dodge. I could play a Guide of Souls, try to block a ton of times. I think my opponent probably has it here. I guess let's math. So I have 8 life to work with. I need to block 5 of this, so I can give up 5-ish Noble Hierarchs to stay alive. Doesn't feel good. I guess I'll try to stay alive. That's just an unfortunate hit for us. All right. 1, 2, 3. I guess this one is optimal. 4, 5. So that blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of this gets through. That's 11. I could block with this then. 2, 3, 4, 5. Take 7 from that. That's in theory fine. I'll leave myself with more mana so that I can hit things like Green Sun into Gearhulk, into Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls or something. So my opponent manifests Dread in my upkeep. Choke, not gonna do it here. That was a really cool game. Maybe I win that one if I make a bunch of plants, but the Noble Hierarchs were like certainly doing work in the mid game there. Regardless, GG's.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, just the best place to keep your online deck lists, and the reason I say that is it just has so much functionality. So for example, let's take a look at some random legacy deck here. You can click on your various 2-drop slots and you can see what % chance you have of casting various things on curve, and you can get a breakdown of your mana symbols and all of that stuff, and there's a lot more here than just this. Consider checking it out.
Alrighty, we're going to lead on Savannah here and drop a Noble Hierarch, and then we'll kind of see where the game goes from there. I am currently thinking that I am playing an Ajani backed by a Caracas next turn to just have the ability to protect that from removal. Oh, shit. Okay, so my opponent is playing some Cascade bullshit. What do I have? Interact with that in game 1. Not so much with interaction in game 1. So I need to do the thing that kills my opponent as quickly as possible. What is that? Probably playing Malevolent Rumble into Ajani and just, yikes, setting up for the future by finding another threat, which we did not do. I will take a fetch land because that can find a surveil land in a minute. But this is very bad, folks. In all likelihood, when my opponent gets to 6 mana, I die. And we are not a green-white wasteland deck that just has something that can really combat that. Oh shit, is it 4 mana? So I'm just going to get Throes of Chaos into... Oh, it's into Violent Outburst here. Is then presumably going to go into what? Tybalt's Trickery, counter a spell, and then a creative technique. Bullshit has begun. So yes, I will cast an Ocelot Pride, and now my opponent gets 2 copies of creative technique, and this is going to lead to them casting a very large number of permanents, which are now going to have haste. We are likely dead here, as they are going to just keep this chain going. So the Tybalt's Trickery then happens. My opponent has Apex Devastator to cascade 4 times. Whatever they do is going to have haste. Call Forth the Tempest is a particularly rough card for me here, because this is going to just nuke all of my stuff. I've gotten bored. My opponent has got me here. It will take them another 2 or 3 minutes to finish resolving that combo, but clearly very good. Gaddock Teeg, great. Deafening Silence, great. The rest of these cards are not particularly relevant. This is kind of one of those times where, unfortunately, I don't think my deck is built to beat my opponent's deck. Turn 2 Gaddock Teeg or turn 1 Deafening Silence are about the best things that I can do here. My Gearhulks are slow. Those are going to go here. And actually, maybe I don't need this many removal spells. I am hoping that my opponent doesn't have things in play. Hoping. Hell yeah. My lands are a little awkward here. I don't think my opponent can go off on turn 1. I think I am not going to play Deafening Silence on turn 1, because if I draw an untapped land... No, I guess it doesn't matter. It's a creature. But this gets me scaling immediately, which the other cards don't do. So now I will Deafening Silence. I'll Lush Portico. I don't need Swords to Plowshares. We're going to start swinging in. I think I finished half of a thought there. Deafening Silence can let me play more than 1 creature spell each turn. So that's kind of the good news here. Malevolent Rumble, not super necessary right now. We're going to go ahead and go Guide of Souls. I'm not going to think about this. There's probably a correct answer of whether it's Guide of Souls or Ocelot Pride as the follow-up. Okay, that was just good enough for my opponent. All right, let's be a skillful magician and draw Deafening Silence in my opening hand again, huh? Because it is now difficult for me to get to 3 mana before my opponent could potentially go off. All right, that's not a Deafening Silence, so we are going to mulligan. That's not a Deafening Silence, so we're going to mulligan. Now, you know what I'm going to say. That's not a Deafening Silence, so we're going to mulligan. I could think about keeping this one. This does have turn 2 Gaddock Teeg. I don't know if that's fast enough. It's so easy for my opponent to have 4 mana on turn 2. I'm not going to do it. We are now getting to the point where I have to start thinking about keeping something sketchy. But not today, I don't. This is a banger of a 3-card hand. Now this time around, I do need to just play the Deafening Silence on turn 1. Play versus draw here is a really big deal. So, my opponent still does just have large creatures that they could eventually cast. Like Trumpeting Carnosaur could just be cast on turn 3 as a 6/5 or whatever exactly it is. I think you. It's pretty close though. All right, there's another tapped land. 6 mana possible next turn. You I hold. You can be Gaddock Teeg in a minute. So we will just play a Noble Hierarch, send in for 2 with lifelink, and then make a cat friend. Sideboard card doing its intended job. The opponent has another land drop. There's some problem or confusion. I'm not sure what it is, but they've been sitting with this mana here for a little while. It is a Fury. Obviously good. So I can get a Dryad Arbor here. I can get a Noble Hierarch here. I think I'm getting Dryad Arbor so that I can surveil. Surveilling seems quite relevant. Ancient Tomb from my opponent. This is a 4-turn clock that can become very chump blockable if I find something like an Ocelot Pride, so I'm not super sweating this here. Let's go get our Lush Portico. Hey, the exact card that I was talking about. We're fine with that, right? That's something that pumps the brakes on Fury. Is in any world it better to just play Peema Trailblazer? I do not think so. I'm just going to get in there for my 1 point of damage and drop Ocelot Pride. If my opponent continues to attack with Fury, I attack with Ocelot Pride. I make a 1/1 that then chump blocks Fury. There's another ETB tapped land. I do have to maybe start worrying about my opponent just casting something like Maelstrom Wanderer. That one specifically requires blue, which it doesn't look like my opponent has, but you know. Let's attempt to attack for 1. All right, so I'm going to get my cat. I think for mana efficiency, I go with this one. Tybalt's Trickery. Sure. I will cast a Springheart Nantuko. I will go to my end step. I will make my cat token that can block Fury. So now I have cat tokens that can block Fury, as well as potentially landfall creatures that can do it. All right, opponent is tapping the Ancient Tomb, which they shouldn't need to do unless they are going real hard on mana here. All right, the mana's been tapped a couple different ways now. It looks like lands are being sacrificed. Oh, all right, that is just straight up 10 mana. So my opponent can cast that creative technique. They should not demonstrate it, I don't think. But they did. So I'm going to target that Fury. They do their creative technique thing. Alright, there's Trumpeting Carnosaur. And then at some point, this is just going to break due to Deafening Silence. But if my opponent hits a bunch of creatures, it just doesn't matter. Alright, there's a whiff. There's Throes of Chaos. That's another whiff. Yeah. I don't think... Oh shit, that was my end step. All that stuff gets to attack. I didn't realize that was my end step, in which case I probably take it back about the Demonstrate. The Demonstrate is probably fine then, if they are going to get a whole nother turn on top of that. GG's. You know, the Deafening Silence was putting up work there, but we had mulligan to 3, so we weren't the best at following up that first Fury that happened. Okay, opening hand with just basic planes here does not seem strong enough. We're gonna mulligan that one. We have another one-lander, unfortunately. I'm gonna mulligan this one as well. Oh shit, this 5-card hand is very strong. Absolutely. We are probably just going to keep all of the white cards here. And then we've got like Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, Ajani. Like, this is incredibly strong. That is great payoff for some mulligans. I think I'm going to start out on basic planes so that I always have 2 mana for next turn. And I think I'm going to go Guide of Souls first. It seems like my opponent has an answer to this based on the speed of that reaction. And it just becomes a, like, is this getting bolted or pushed or dazed sort of situation. We have a blue-black deck. Binning a troll. We could eat an Animate Dead very quickly that I don't have an immediate answer for. There's a Brainstorm. Opponent has a fetch land to follow it up, but is not cracking immediately. Holy shit. Okay. Well, do this. Nice. I think I'm now going to attack. I'm not going to get my 3rd energy immediately. Bring my opponent to 18. I think there's some timelines where this is just going to get dazed based on my opponent's reaction speed from last turn. But given that my mana is already spoken for next turn anyway, this feels fine. There's a fetch. That's an Atraxa. Alright, there's the daze that I suspected. So I'm doing the whole Ocelot Pride Guide of Souls thing, but that is innately not as powerful as reanimating an Atraxa. Wasteland's very strong here. Oh gosh. I do not like committing the Wasteland to play prior to the reanimate there. Like, this locks you into Wastelanding this, whereas, I don't know, maybe you hit a Fatal Push style card that you want to cast, or, you know, a Thoughtseize, for example. So my opponent now has blue counterspell backing up what they are doing, which is really, really bad for me. And if they have another large creature, they can just discard it, which they do. They have no castable cards. I'm not... No, I guess I am ready to concede. Like, I have to hit runner. Like, I have to hit 1 mana removal spell, 1 mana removal spell to get through Force of Will, and my opponent needs to do nothing else beyond that after they have gained, 14-ish life. That's fine. We can call that there. This is what the pile of Endurances and Leyline of the Voids is for. Maybe Choke, too. We'll think about that one. So I guess what is bad against my opponent? The Gearhulk and the Green Sun just, like, lower my curve against my opponent's Daze deck. The Gearhulk won't outclass something like a Barrogoyf. I haven't seen Peema Trailblazer do its thing yet, and I would very much like to see that. But I sure do think it is the correct thing to board out here. I could board out Malevolent Rumble instead. Like, accidentally growing my graveyard is sort of awkward. Now I have a decent pile of removal, a decent pile of graveyard hate, and oops, I accidentally choked you as a backup plan beyond that. My Dryad Arbor is not very strong without Green Sun. Small adjustment. This is a fine hand. How do I feel about a fine hand? I think I'll keep this. This gets around soft permission relatively well. I can start trying to go wide if I want. Otherwise, I can Malevolent Rumble and look for something like an Endurance. I have an answer to a large creature already. So I think I'm into this. Scalding Tarn. What's the follow-up? Thoughtseize, push. So now we've got choices. I think I just Malevolent Rumble. Like, if that gets dazed, so be it. I really wanted that to be a land. Illusion of Choice, I guess. And we've got a mana, but this is mana towards colorless stuff, unfortunately. Not for our initial colored pips. I would very, very much like to draw another white source. It's not the end of the world if I don't. And I don't. So I think I am going to Ocelot Pride and attempt to bestow on it with my mana. By bestowing onto it, I bring it outside of range of an Orcish Bowmasters, which feels relevant. Alright, Thoughtseize. My opponent gets to know that I do not have Graveyard Hate, or if they can do something with the troll over there, and they can take my Static Prison. Alright, it's down. Polluted Delta Fetch. Also, my chair is squeaking a little bit. I think I need to adjust something on it. I will try to address that after this game. Apologies if that is picking up on camera here. Oh shit, that's just a big Murktide Regent. Lol, never didn't have it. Yeah, that's a fine turn. Again, though, this basic forest is a touch awkward here. Alright, so I get that out of the way. I send in for 2, and this is going to allow me to make another cat. I start going wide of what my opponent is doing. This Static Prison might end up going away. I can keep it for a little while here. We're just going to combat. Yeah, we're just going to combat. This has first strike, so that helps out against some of the nonsense that can happen. Opponent's at 12. I'll drop Guide of Souls. And now I can start, like, accruing energy for Static Prison purposes. Wow, we won that game pretty easily. Did my opponent keep a 7-card hand there? Turn 2, turn 1. No, my opponent mulliganed. So something about that hand was clunky. It's a little hard to tell without seeing the extra things in their hand. But something was off there on their end. Alright, is there any play versus draw difference here? The chokes are noticeably worse on the draw, but like a lot of times we do end up in an awkward mid-range game where the chokes keep my opponent from playing, the Goyfs or the Murktide Regents or whatever. This is fine. I've got an endurance this time. I have a green card that I can pitch to it, so if my opponent goes for some quick reanimator stuff, I have some recourse there. It is a surveil land. I'm upset. I'm upset. I think I need to advance my own game and not play endurance around days. It's just like awkward. So I think that means playing a noble hierarch. There's like, not counting the trolls, there's like a 2 in 52 chance, so a 1 in 26 chance of spiking one of the big scary monsters with no manipulation. All right. So endurance, pitch Springheart Nantuko. All right, cool. Nuke the Atraxa. All right, so now I get to do crimes, which is good. I would like to do the crimes. So there's Guide of Souls. There's Ocelot Pride. I'm just going to yield to that. I'm going to pass the turn here. I'm going to surveil land rather than attack for 1 point of damage here. I think that is more valuable. I could also hold the land for Springheart Nantuko. Sure. I can work around that. I don't think I am going to static prison it. I get to attack for a lot more if I do. It really depends a lot on what happens here. Leyline of the Void can go to my graveyard. We are not drawing that right now. Oh shit, well, you know, like, when in Rome. Okay, it did resolve. This has first strike. This one can go in. I'm going to attack with that as a 2-power creature, rather than attack with multiple bodies here. Oh, there's a Fatal Push. That's good. That's pretty important. Makes my opponent's Baleful Strix better, but now both of these are tapped. Wait, did they have Basic Swamp available? Was Basic Swamp untapped? If so, that's a pretty big mistake. I don't remember if Basic Swamp was untapped or if I was thinking about that land untapping and these ones not. Turns out that narrating all of the plays that you do takes a lot of mental energy. Yeah. I'm going to bestow that on the Guide of Souls, I think. So yeah, this can be dazeable. And now we are going to crash in for 3. It doesn't really matter which way I crash in for 3. My opponent's mana production is off. I have an answer to their next potential creature. They can, still put an Archon or an Atraxa in play, and that will be very, very good. Their window to do that will close pretty quickly, but they've got it. Okay, they do have it. So with Archon specifically, that makes me discard this Static Prison. So now I need to top deck a new answer. I did not, but this at least helps. So I can make a new Guide of Souls. I don't have a good attack here. My opponent might beat me through the choke. I think I am sacrificing Noble Hierarch. Like stacking up multiple copies of Guide of Souls can do some relevant stuff in terms of giving me exactly one more turn. I mean, Wasteland is fine. You absolutely just do that here, I think. Denying that mana seems very real. Unless there's something like Bowmaster, in which case casting that is very, very important. All right, well, holding it does not do a lot here. I am already dead to Bowmaster. Sure. I'm going to put counters on the token copy, oddly. All right, it is troll cycling. So now my opponent has a 1-time shot of blue mana and an Atraxa in yard. That's rough. I don't think I can win anymore. Yeah, that is Force of Will backup for this Atraxa. Just take like Force Ponder or Force Baleful Strix, and then I go down to 1, and there's 2 giant creatures in play that kill me. That'll do. We were on track to win that one, but it turns out that shoving 4 Entombs, 4 Reanimates, and 2 targets into a blue-black tempo deck is pretty darn good. GG's. All right, I am going to keep this opening hand here. I think I'm going to try to not be wastelandable this game. It could sometimes be a little bit awkward because this deck wants a lot of white mana. I think with Noble Hierarch here, this play is fine. If the Noble Hierarch gets answered, there could be a turn, 2 or 3 turns down the line where I regret this basic forest. That is a basic swamp and a Thoughtseize. All right, my opponent took the Green Sun. It has the greatest flexibility there. That's not too surprising. So let's fetch, grab the basic, play our future Planeswalker. No days available. It is not even clear if my opponent is currently a blue deck. Fetching turn 1 basic swamp is something a blue-black deck could do. That probably means they're blue-black. But I was entertaining the fact. God damn it. I'm so fucking tired of this Entomb shit. Yeah. Alright, cool. I have a Swords for that, which hopefully is going to resolve. My opponent has 3 cards in hand that I don't know about, and one of them could be a Force of Will. Hopefully not. Alright, Ponder, Delta, Regent, Brainstorm, Animate, dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my opponent is discarding 1 card here. Discarding the Murktide. I'm just going to refresh myself. The Green Sun is not super potent yet. So, is Force of Will one of the 3 unknown cards? No. Fuck yeah. Okay. I don't get to see the back of you right now. I think I'm just... By making a bonus cat, I kind of want to put a +1/+1 counter on this so it is not bowmasterable. Let's try that. I'll keep one of these. I'll turn that into a Planeswalker. I'm just going to plus for a +1/+1 counter on each cat. Swing in with Ocelot Pride, make another friend. And now the 0 ability of this Planeswalker is pretty real. So I have 5 creatures. The 0 ability is a 6th creature. I guess I don't have a red permanent, so this is not doing the damage ability. JK. Not doing the damage ability. Very relevant. What am I doing with this Green Sun? It honestly looks like it might be a Noble Hierarch, which is really weird. So this is a 2/2. I plus. It's a 3/3. Noble Hierarch attack. It's a 4/4. Green Sun for Noble Hierarch. It is a 5/5. Seems good. Definitely not the normal thing that I expected that I would be doing with this, but feels good. So there's the +1/+1 counters, and notably, I am doing this because this is going to be a first strike attack. So this 5/5 seems pretty potent here. Okay, my opponent is blocking. Yeah, so they just lose that creature. I make 2 cats now, as I do have the City's Blessing. I have probably gone wide of what my opponent is capable of doing. They can bring back that creature, but without doing the math, I think just an Ajani plus on a gajillion different bodies here is just going to be lethal. I don't know what my opponent is pondering for on their end. They gotta do something pretty busted. They've gotta like put Atraxa into play or something. Alright, so that is just an Animate dead. That is a 3-power creature. I presume that is not cutting it. My opponent like blocks one of these, takes 5, 9, +3, +2, +2. Yeah, seems like we're fine. What about with a Fatal Push? So Fatal Push this, block this, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah. Send them. Alright. So opponent goes to -3 there. Cats, yo. Sorry, Peema Trailblazer. Alright, I mean, here's me being boring and boarding in my 7 graveyard hate cards versus the tier 1 deck that has survived like 3 banning waves at this point. Oh, that's sad. We did not really get to see the cards do the things in this league. Alright, Green Sun out, which probably means we board Dryad Arbor out, and then I just like go down on expensive cards. Did I go back and forth on Malevolent Rumble before? That like fuels my own graveyard for my opponent's reanimates? I think I did. I can play Green Sun for Endurances, keep Dryad Arbor, and then keep 1 Fun of cool card. I think I'm going to keep 1 of these for some endgame. That is an Endurance, but no green card to pitch to it. I do not think I like that. Oh, we're only in match 4. I get another game to try to do the cool fun stuff, where I hopefully don't just get paired against graveyard-based combo yet again. This is pretty mid. I think this is significantly less powerful than just opening up on something like a Leyline of the Void or Guide of Souls into Ocelot Pride. Yeah, this is fine. I'm going to get rid of Green Sun, and I think get rid of Noble Hierarch. And then this leaves me with cat into cat, and I have Swords to Plowshares to disrupt a creature that my opponent puts into play. Oh shit, my opponent's going to 4. So you're telling me there's a chance. The unfortunate thing is that, like, land, Entomb, Reanimate is 3 cards that is inherently broken, so, you know. There is a Thoughtseize. If my opponent can produce a creature quickly, Swords is the best card in my hand. Otherwise, I think Ocelot Pride is scarier than Ajani. Ocelot Pride can just spiral on its own, although the evaluation of that changes a little bit if my opponent has a Bowmaster that can just kill Ocelot Pride. All right. I do not want that Gearhulk right now. It is expensive, but my opponent is, in theory, low on resources, unless they just, Entomb Reanimate right here. That is a Ponder. Wait, they chose to fetch immediately? They didn't know any cards, right? So why not Ponder and then fetch afterwards? It's no shuffle. I mean, Ocelot Pride is a good pickup. I think I am just going to stay mana efficient, though, even if this does get dazed. All right, no end of turn Entomb. We're dodging bullets. Troll cycling is currently fine. Like, a troll hitting play is not at all scary. Okay, this is fine. My opponent can't back that up, like, literally at all, with any card, any reasonable card anyway. So I just get to remove that. New Ajani. That is cool and all, but not what I am interested in right now. So that happens. My opponent's last card could be Daze. I don't give a shit. We're making cats. And next turn I can have Cat Planeswalker. At any time my opponent can just Entomb Reanimate again or play a Giant Goyf or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Let's make a Planeswalker. Hopefully not Daze. I'm not going to bother trying to sneak 2 damage here. So let's make a friend. I'll just 0 my Planeswalker. And again, I have no red permanent, so I don't get to do the cool dammies. If my opponent starts attacking into these, like, they gain a bunch of life, but they don't make any headway, and then I can crack them back and start getting more cats. So it's just kind of an awkward spot for them. So I will just throw 1 cat away there. And you may have your life. That is petty theft. Sure. You have a surgical? I'm getting draw step stopped here. That was slightly weird. So bam. 1 and 1. Make a cat. I will go to combat. Absolutely attacking in with this. I am about to make more cats at end step. I think I am comfortable with this as an attack. All right, so there's 22, then 18. Go to end step, trigger, make another cat. We're at 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 permanents towards the city's blessing. That number is going to fluctuate a little bit, though. Murktide's scary. Okay, so my opponent just started tapping mana for a Murktide Regent. I think I block with a 2-power creature then, instead of a 1-power creature. I will transform this. All right, it is not Murktide Regent. It was something else. Or I stop the Murktide Regent from coming into play by blocking with the larger creature. That's also reasonable. Lush Portico. Do not need Leyline of the Void right now. That was a very good surveil. Endurance is very strong. Could be a Bowmaster. It also just could be cast Brazen Borrower. I think I am going to plus here. That means that Brazen Borrower doesn't kill this on an attack anymore if Endurance does not resolve. Yeah. Good enough. Just like leave some extra back in case shit goes south. I think I'm down with that. All right. So that's 18 when that's all said and done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I actually want to play the Endurance now if I want to stop Murktide Regent, which I think my opponent has from coming into play. So I will nuke that graveyard, which is going to shrink this slightly. Now, end step. Okay, so I had the read right on Brazen Borrower, but now I have the City's Blessing, so I get multiple cats. We are a little soft to just random Entomb Reanimate off the top, since I played out the Endurance to better play around Murktide Regent. But otherwise, I've got some pretty strong stuff going on here. All right, there is a Surveil land. That Ponder shuffled. That's another random Atraxa. God damn it. Yeah, that is fully random. That was a Ponder shuffle. 1 in 50 chance of that happening. I am very sick of this deck. Such is life. EE is really rough too. All right, so reanimate. There's that EE in play. So beyond that, Delta, Entomb, Troll. Okay, so this 5/6 is attacking. All my tokens are about to die anyway. That's going at my face. Am I just killing this? I think I'm just killing that. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll do. I'm fine if I top deck an answer to the Atraxa, and I'm very not fine if I don't. All right, let's see if we can get lucky. No, we cannot. I can kill my opponent's Brazen Borrower with an Ajani minus, or I can Ajani plus and set this to 7 to try to keep it alive. It's just answering this Atraxa that matters. I'm going to think about that for a minute. I'm going to see if my Gearhulk resolves. Grab a Savannah and do the Gearhulk. We know 3 of the 5 cards over there. This is Dazable. This is Force of Willable. Okay. So, yes. I now get Static Prison, at least one of them. I might just get 2 in case the first one does not resolve. Despite the fact that I really do want Guide of Souls. Let's get double Static Prison. In which case, just trying to keep this Planeswalker alive seems good. I will just plus this, increase its loyalty. It's not dying to Atraxa immediately. They don't have good attacks. I will pass. Let's see where this goes. My opponent's got another land drop. They can EE away my tokens. Ah, you just get Archon too? Sure. So the 2 unknown cards were Entomb plus Reanimate. Sure. Well, at least my opponent didn't blow EE first, so like I get to keep an extra real creature. I'll get rid of Ajani. That feels like a pretty big misstep to me. Like, because I either lose my flying blocker, a good sized body, or something that is part of an engine. All right, sure. I mean, that is the sort of reason why we got 2 static prisons. Now I don't get to answer both of these. Okay, no, so I was right about the Murktide Regent before, and then they top decked one of Entomb or Reanimate. Okay. Cool. All right, am I being attacked? Okay, I am being attacked. That seems like a really big fuck up, right? Like, now I just ultimate this, and then I static print. Yeah, that's a major fuck up. I'll take that damage. I'll keep my body. I think my opponent punted the game a couple of times in that turn cycle. All right, so -4 this. All right, so my opponent keeps Archon of Cruelty. I static prison that. Get that out of the way for at least a couple of turns. Send in for a relatively large amount of damage. My opponent is at 7. I have landfall stuff in this deck, but there's also things like Archon coming back that will randomly make me discard. I'm just going to play it out. And then I will make some cats. My opponent can destroy those cats with the onboard EE. I think we threaded the needle on that one. I won the match. I do not believe in terms of draws that I should have won that one. So I think there were multiple bad attacks with this creature. So there was the turn where this attacked after my opponent had tapped lands for Murktide Regent and started to play Murktide Regent's graveyard-based cost. So like it was very clear that they had that. So I blocked with that 2-power creature instead of a 1-power creature. That kept them from deploying another creature that could have pressured my Planeswalker. Then there was the time that they attacked with that creature into my pile of tokens, just kind of like being on default mode of I am just chump blocking with cat tokens to protect this. And then I threw everything in front of that creature to remove it. My opponent committed an EE to the board on 0 and then never ended up cracking that. So if they had held that in hand, maybe they have the agency to later put that on 1 and remove a static prison or something like that. We threaded the needle on that one, but I absolutely do not think I should have won that one based on how the draws lined up. I think my opponent's deck was much stronger. I think their draw was pretty good. But scoreboard, Legacy is intricate. GG's. Yo, dog. Heard you liked cats. The Dryad Arbor in this hand is a little bit sketchy. Edge Maze. Maybe some sort of Uro nonsense over there. Okay, so beans? Maybe bug beans? My brain is a potato this week. Just look behind the screen real quick. My grandma passed away, and I am getting ready to go out of town for a funeral. I feel like vaguely that there was some card that slotted into beans from the new set. Okay, no, that makes sense. All right, so we know what's going on over there. So my opponent is Cascade now. So we don't do a lot against that in game one. How do I do the most against it? I can go wide with Ocelot Pride, or I can try to do something like bestow and make copies of Ocelot Pride. I think that makes more sense next turn. Wasteland could potentially be in my opponent's deck. So I think we're going basic land. We don't have to worry about days against a violent outburst sort of deck. All right, there's Force of Negation, in which case we'll attack with a 2/2 Ocelot Pride. Sorry, Force of Will, pitching Force of Negation. And now I will make my cat friend. We are maybe just working towards Bright. Still can make some good plays. Static Prison's a good pickup. So I just said we don't have to worry about days. So I can play Bright. Excuse me. I can play Brightglass Gearhulk, pick up a Guide of Souls and an Ocelot Pride, and just try to go bananas. Or I can Springheart Nantuko Ocelot Pride and start making copies of it. Oh shit, wait. Hold on a second. Holy shit. That is this real life. Okay, we're gonna maybe do some stuff here. So yes, my opponent makes 8 power. I can undo that with some static prisons. So let's pick up 1 Guide of Souls and a second static prison. And I think I don't attack into what I think is a clearly telegraphed Cascade spell. I'm just going to pass the turn here. All right, there's Violent Outburst. Wow, that's a lot of cards. I get to see most of their deck here. Oh, nope. Not that zone. This zone. Pop that out. Okay, what is spicy? We've got Fire Ice. That's expected. Nothing spicy. No Minskin Boo here. Lots of Spirit Guides. Lots of counter spells. Yeah, nothing unexpected here. Oh shit, this fucker also has First Strike. This is hilarious. This is so good against rhinos. Holy shit. All right, so that's Shardless Agent. So my opponent is going to rip out some more rhinos and then pass the turn. I can just make copies? This does not feel fair. This doesn't fucking feel fair. Like, boop? Yeah? Yes? Oh my god. This is cool as fuck. I know it took us until round 5 to accidentally assemble this, but holy shit. Wowzers. Okay. So, Deafening Silence does not stop Shardless Agent from cascading into rhinos. It does stop Violent Outburst from cascading into rhinos. Choke is reasonable. Endurance is reasonable. Gaddock Teague could hit some sideboard options. So I have a bunch of medium cards. It does not seem like the Trailblazer lines up well versus my opponent's 4/4 rhinos. The Gearhulk is batshit insane. Endurance does stuff versus Murktide. I think these are coming out. Malevolent Rumble is perhaps expendable here. Do I want the Deafening Silence when it doesn't necessarily do the best stuff? Maybe. Cut those. How many of these do I then get in? 1 lucky choke. I'll probably bring another choke in when I'm on the play. I probably don't need 4 endurances. I don't think I like this hand. This feels like a hand with lands and spells that probably loses. It just like does not line up the best versus the rhinos. I think I'm going to keep it. I'm unhappy about it, but I think we're chilling. Oseiju is very much not what I'm looking for as a draw. The problem is that my opponent can just play one card and floop 10 power into play for 1 mana. Or sorry, for 1 card, and then my Source of Plowshares answers 4/10 of that. Yeah, exactly this. All right, so we'll look at a bunch of cards. This is all the same shit we saw before. And I'll Swords to Plowshares one of these at end of turn. I think it has to be end of turn for mana efficiency purposes. I don't think I get to Surveil land anymore. So yeah. Noble Hierarch is not what I am looking for here. Johnny's not super strong versus trampling creatures. It just doesn't feel great. So I could block and get the Planeswalker side here. Can I not? Okay, I can do this. So it starts with 3 loyalty. It can plus to 5 loyalty. Sure. I think I'm going to accept that. Some things can happen with like Fire Ice or potentially Sideboard Fury to mess with what I'm doing here. Sick. All right. So land drop. It could just be more rhinos immediately. I think I'm going to start by seeing if this card resolves. It does. I actually should not have put that back in their deck. That is a very, very large mistake. Since that resolved, I'm going to make a 2/1. I'm going to hope that my opponent... I've already made my land drop, right? Yeah. And hope that my opponent is not making more rhinos here. Fuck, that was a really bad mistake on my end. Oh shit, not more rhinos. Nice. What are you doing in combat? Is that both at my Planeswalker? Okay, that is both at my Planeswalker. I think we are going to attempt the double block, and we'll just kind of see how bad the blowout is. Violent Outburst. It is fire. Okay. That was pretty good. Holy shit. Ah! Like, please resolve? Ah! Holy fuck. Double Static Prison? Just insurance policy versus counter magic. I just have another Gearhulk for big things to do. Wow, 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 wow. That's a pass the turn for my opponent. Yeah. I'm gonna get a basic here. I'm going to just cast another one of these and see if they immediately concede. I'm not going to lie to you. All right, that is a Force of Will, pitching a Force of Will. Now I will Static Prison. We'll nuke a Rhino token. That's never going to come back. Go on. Force of Vigor. Oh, yeah, no, that's an artifact. And by doing that with that timing, my opponent keeps it from leaving play. That was an incredible turn for my opponent with their double pitch spells. I don't know that I'm supposed to play around 2 of those, but I wish I had cast my spells in a different order with how that played out. Elvish Spirit Guide. Coming to party. So now I Static Prison. The Rhino's gone forever. I Ocelot Pride. I drop Noble Hierarch as well. And now we're basically in a top deck war that is probably very close. I think no blocks here. The next turn I can attack for 2 with the Ocelot Pride immediately. Yeah, so I put some Rhinos back into my opponent's deck earlier. I don't remember how many copies of Crashing Footfalls they were playing, but that could have been a relevant mistake on my end. From 5 life here with 2 Tramplers in play, I think I am now dead. Very good play on my opponent with the Force of Vigor. All right, when I am on the play, I can consider one more choke, and I think I will play it. I go down a Deafening Silence. It is a card that is nice to have. It is a card that is nice to be able to tutor for. I think 2 is fine because it's not good against everything. Fuck, yeah, no. In. Absolutely in. Would like a 3rd land drop here, though. Very, 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 very desperately. Opponent is on 7 cards. That is a Thundering Falls. Junking, Lorien Revealed. I think so that I can slam choke next turn. I play Dryad Arbor this turn, despite the fact that then Fire, Ice, and Fury can Stone Rain me. I think this is just my highest upside play by a very, very significant margin. So, land drop. Attempt a Broken Thing. It could just get Brazen Borrowed out of play for minimal value on my end. It's at least getting a response. That is a Taiga. That is a land that will untap. That is Deafening Silence out of play. Okay. Is that triple Spirit Guide? Good God. Okay. Sure. That's quite strong. Does my choke resolve? All right, my choke resolves. I've made a land drop. I'm going to take 8, and then I can Swords to Plowshares these creatures out of play. Thundering Falls doesn't untap. I've got that going for me. Triple Spirit Guide. Absolutely rough. All right, well, Swords a Rhino. I guess fetch now. Swords a Rhino. Redeploy Deafening Silence. The Mighty Dryad Arbor Beats begin. All right, I got scared for a second. This is island cycling, so whatever they get will be impacted by choke. My conceptual issue here is that 4 Brazen Borrower hits will beat me. Wasteland is not that scary right now. That's not bad. So let's go ahead and play that. And I think I hold up Caracas to protect it. Yeah. That occurs. All right, cool. Another Swords is fine. Bestow? Yeah. Punchies? 4? 22? We're in a weird game now. I am unsure if this is bad for me or not. It is very hard to tell. That Violent Outburst into Deafening Silence? That doesn't make sense. Brotherhood's End. Yeah, sure, I'll use that ability. Oh no, where'd he go? Alright, so I make my land drop. I make a friend. I'm going to, I guess, play another one of these. Then Force of Vigor can't clear out all of my enchantments at the same time. My opponent goes to 20. My clock is slow. My opponent can't cast Brazen Borrower yet. Violent Outburst is not live. Oh, shit. That's not good yet, but that's my game ender. Take 2. 18. Okay, so it is Shardless Agent time. So this is a creature, so my opponent can then cast their rhinos afterwards with the whole Crashing Footfalls thing. So they do that. But, all right, there's priority. I will just Swords one of those immediately. My opponent has 6 power in play. A land drop here is beyond incredible. Fuck yeah. All right, so I make a friend. I fetch. I guess it can be a basic. Yeah, I make a friend. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do the Gearhulk thing. What a match. What a match. Let's debrief, but that was cool. Ooh. That's why we play Magic right there. That was really fun. Okay. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Peema Trailblazer did not do anything in this league. And I don't think that is its fault. I think this is a time where we just gathered no data, and we would have to fully reevaluate this one. I'm not comfortable in evaluating this card based on this league. I frequently boarded this card out. I can say that much. I don't think I cut it in every round. I think this can be powerful with Noble Hierarch or anything else that boosts its power. I am not sure how I feel about the card by itself, just as a standalone card by legacy thresholds. But if you're powering it out with Noble Hierarch or Ancient Tomb, maybe it's reasonable. You know, Dino Stompy enthusiasts maybe think about this card. But I'm sure this card will creep up again. The Energy Core was obviously strong. I'm not sure about Malevolent Rumble. Based on how these games were playing out, the tempo in the first couple of turns matters a lot. Much more so than... Let me rephrase that. This deck is tempo oriented, so taking a turn off from deploying threats for selection is maybe not what we want to do. This deck was very colored pip intensive. Malevolent Rumble might not have been good here. I conceptually liked it in constructing the deck list, but the Eldrazi token, for example, does not get you to Brightglass Gearhulk, which is now a card that I'm very, very excited about. I conceptually did not understand how batshit insane it was going to be with Springheart Nantuko, but good God, it just feels illegal. Whether or not it is realistic to want to play this card in Legacy. This is a card that I very much think is going to be good in other formats, especially if the Springheart Nantuko is just legal, so you can copy it like we did here. Like picking up Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, or double removal spell on Static Prison is silly. You can probably go deeper here. So things you could tutor for off the top of my head, like Haywire Might to exile the One Ring, Carpet of Flowers to get bonus mana if you need more because you're bottlenecked, like Mother of Runes to protect it. I have a feeling this is not the last that we are going to see of this card. Now, I guess ultimately, is this Selesnya Energy, is this green-white energy shell worth pursuing? Or are you better off just being in Mardu or red-white or something? I'm not sure. Without seeing Peema Trailblazer in action, it's a little hard to tell. Like, that was certainly one of the payoff cards here. But CEO of ETBs, I'm investing in your company. I like what we have cooking here. This feels good. There's probably some room to tune this a little bit. Given how mana pip intensive we are, I don't think we want anything like Wastelands. The Green Suns were medium. I think you could potentially turn Green Suns into other things. I think you could turn Malevolent Rumble into other things. I think there's wiggle room here, but Brewers of the World, get out there, do your thing. And if you need your Brightglass Gearhulks, just saying, you can support me by supporting my sponsor. Promo code ThrabenU. That was great. I enjoyed that a lot. Maybe ban some cards from Reanimator, though. See ya.